Hello everyone and welcome back to Wargame Red Dragon. Today I want to show you a little bit of an odd game. So this is between the Corporal Sodacan 2027 and the Colonel Clear. And this one was sent in to me. I'm not actually playing on either side here. We're going to be watching mostly from the perspective of Sodacan 2027. Now, the first thing I want to point out is that this is a very strange opener. There is 0 recon in this opener. And there we have the first recon buy, then I'll slot 25. But the other thing, too, is, this is very condensed. Usually, traditionally, on Paddy Field, from this side, people go for some sort of recon and ATGM in these two towns, and then they might go for a square push, and so everything is still going this way. They might go for a triangle push, although this is less common these days, I think. You can push this really effectively, and if you get into Foxtrot, it's very nice. Or you can go right down the pipe into Bravo from either road, although I think this one's slightly more common. And now we have a couple of other recon buys as well out to the side, but that was after an AS-90. Now, I don't know if you guys use too much tube artillery, but the AS-90 is actually pretty good. For 130 points, you get 39 internal ammunition storage, which is very nice. You get 7 HE, 10-second aim time, and a decent salvo. So, there's a lot there to like, and it certainly is a fine choice. Buying it before any recon is a little unusual as well. And then we have a Tornado F3 going in versus an L17K. Now this is a nice pick if you can get it. The F3 has some long-range AMRAMs, basically. Well, yeah. Actually trades with the L17. So a little bit of bad luck there for the for Sodacan with that. But here's another thing as well. Part of why I wanted to point out this game is because without recon, there's really not that much that you can do. This Challenger 1 Mark III can't see anything. The diggers, medium optics on infantry is pretty good, but there's also already artillery coming in, direct fire accurate against Przkomnichi, which I don't think those were spotted. We didn't really see anything here. This entire section has been blank. That's strange. But there's still 2 Challenger 1 Mark IIIs. These guys are absolute beasts. 145 points, 20 frontal armor, 21 AP. The only real problem with them is the 8 RPM, and I don't believe they're auto-loaded, so it can slow down even more. But if you keep these guys alive and have good smoke micro, that's not necessarily the end of the world. And there's more artillery, but there were some red dots spotted over here. And on this side, this is very strange. Most people will defend the top part of Bravo with a couple of infantry units. You might see some recon up here, you might see some recon in this section of town as well. Just do caution. Here we have a Stormer, and nothing in front of it. So, actually, if we take a look real quickly at Clear's perspective, the Motostrelci could have probably just pushed up here, gotten a free kill, but hindsight is 2020, and on this side, there's actually not much recon from Red either. So, M84As, 2 of them going in, and a little bit outmatched here by the double Challenger 1 Mark III, and we have some Hellcats of all things. Now, these guys, not my personal favorite, but you can see why they have some appeal. 100 km/h off-road, well, not exactly a long-range gun, but you don't necessarily need that against infantry, things like that all the time. And a nice couple additional hits from the M84As. So this is why that 19 AP power from the M84A is actually really nice. It scales pretty well, and you can punch up decently so long as you can keep yourself from getting hit. But what's truly amazing is that still, there's no recon on the front line for blue. So the Oslov 25 just sort of sitting here, another one just sort of sitting here. AS-90 happily firing away, direct fire at different targets here. Let's see. We have some contact over that way. Let's see where this next ones are aimed. So they are firing in, and I'm curious, is this going to be a direct hit or not? And yeah, actually that is direct hit. 1 unit dead right there from that AS-90. Now, you can guess that position, but it's a little bit unusual. It is a little unusual for that position this early. I suppose without much engulf, it's quite possible. Ooh, what was that? That was a second direct hit. Right onto an ATGM team right there, yeah. Yeah, so this AS-90, I think, is actually siding for himself, which is a little bit goofy, but Mi-25 around back is a little bit rude, but honestly, I do this sometimes. I did this the other day against Claver. I was actually still debating putting that game up as well. It was a very good one, although Claver returned the favor and got some wins against me as well. He's a very, very skilled player, Major General, quite often, sometimes Brig Gen, but, it's hard to keep those high elo ranks because a single loss is just so devastating. So, you get on a hot streak, you go back up, and then you get a couple of unlucky games, or you run into a Helo Cheeser or something like that, and it's just, it can get pretty rough pretty quickly. So, ADAT's taking a hit, and Challenger 1 Mark III still moving up to engage here. 1 and... oh, nearly. Oh, come on. There it is. One of them dead, the M84As, 95 points worth of tanks punching up against 145, and retreating out just fine. So this is actually a classic from Clear. He's a good friend of mine, and that double M84A is a dangerous, dangerous weapon. So, it will be interesting as well to see the AS90's kill list after this. We'll definitely take a look there. Other buys for blue have actually been pretty few and far between. So, we have a couple more Oslovs, we have a Stormer out here, but I'd imagine blue's probably floating a fair number of points because, you know, we're in nearly 600 additional points after the beginning of the game. Not much of it has been bought, it looks like. I mean, Stormer's only 75. Yeah, there's another Challenger 1 Mark III buy. Let's see. It's a really important thing to pick up the skill of being able to constantly keep the appropriate reinforcements coming in. Now, that doesn't mean that you should always be at 0, because, well, sometimes something happens and you need 100 points or 150 points or something like that on relatively short notice. An example of this might be if you need to buy an air superiority fighter because all of a sudden there's a bomber train headed for you, and, well, if you can buy it now, you can intercept them and get a couple of kills and get some revenge, and if you can't, then you're kind of toast. So, that is a concern. But, generally speaking, floating 500-600 points is not exactly the best idea. Now, the fob has been sniped here, so Clear did remember where that position was. He knew that he didn't kill it with that MI-25, and so he has finished the job with artillery. Pretty common tactic you want to deny, especially because the single AS90 has been so devastating this whole game. And there's a second one coming out as well, so with that fob there, these guys will be able to resupply for free. Now it's going to cost HLVWs whenever they want to resupply, which is very nice. And just a little note here as well. ADAT's missiles are absurdly supply expensive, like absurdly expensive. So if you're going to try and resupply and repair one of your tanks like this, make sure that you don't have something like an ADAS or a mortar right next to it, because it will prevent you from doing that. So we still have a very weird game, and this Corporal is definitely, I'd say, on the losing side, but look at that, there's another set of fire going in, and yep, directly on top of some Pruskum Nietzsche there, so that is going to be a nice pickup for Soda Can, again, all without recon, and you have to start to wonder, you know, with all of these AS90 shots, how is this guy not a higher rank? I mean, this is a very good game sense to do all of this blind, right? I mean, it has to be, you'd imagine. So, then we have some return fire coming in. Counter battery from artillery is pretty common, and this one from Red had been firing just a little bit. Pruskum Nietzsche a little bit unfortunate here against that Oslov 25. I wonder if they can see that command vehicle. Yes, they can, and one shot. Ooh, if that gets the kill, that does end the game. Clearly it doesn't, because we have a little bit more to play, so a little bit unlucky there from Red. But he still can see it, so I imagine we might be able to finish the job. Lynx H7, no second command vehicle, this one's moving out. Yeah, that could have ended the game, but it didn't. Okay, and another thing to point out here is that neither player has capped their +2. Now, for Clear, this kind of makes sense, because Clear has been fighting in Fox Golf, he's been pushing back, getting good kills here. Ooh, I wonder if that's on target as well. Let's take a look. Is there anything in that town? There is, Proletary. So for Clear, this sort of makes sense, because he is in a very forward position in Bravo and Golf, and getting the kills here is probably more important than locking down the map, because, well, he already has it locked down, and he can cap anytime he wants. But for Blue, this can be a little bit of a challenge, and by the way, Clear is going for his +2, so now that's 30 points a minute for Red. And for Blue, there's a second command vehicle in Delta, but no attempt to cap Hotel, and still not very many more reinforcements coming out. So we've had 300 points since we last checked, and the only buy was an AS90 until now. Well, actually, that's not fair. AS90 and command vehicle. Yeah, I guess that is most of the points, especially combined with another quad stack of infantry. And an Oslov 25 over here. Yeah, okay, fine. That was mostly spent, we'll see. And second HLVW. This is going to start getting expensive without the fob as well, so it's another reason to take that out. And here, we have the first instance of recon in the front line. So Oslov 25 versus Pruskum Nietzsche, and it does just barely see it. Let's see, what's this firing at anyway? Oh, it's going for the town still. Yeah, then we have fire on the Pruskum Nietzsche, but keep in mind as well, these guys were spotted by the Oslov, but that's a 10-second delay on the AS90 for the aim time, not to mention when it actually lands. So this AS90 was targeted before the Oslov saw anything, and there was never anything spotted back here, but how much do you guys want to bet? That was very nearly on target. There's a Drub team moving up. Of course, no way to really know that unless you have recon already farther up than this is, so You're just really, really amazing game sense guessing where all of that stuff is going here. For blue. I've never seen anything quite like it. If you try doing this, I'm certain it's not going to be quite as accurate as what this guy's able to manage. Here we actually have shots in against the, where these Pruskunichi are moving into, completely blind from blue, so, just denying that flanking recon as best as blue can, and of course it is a little bit of a miss. It's hard to do that, even if you are hacking the game like this guy is, but, it's just good game sense, I'm sure, to know that Pruskunichi was moving up there, even though I think most people would probably go for here first, and then, yeah, if you move through, you can get up to here, and if you're really dedicated on infiltrating, and you can get up to some of these farther forward forests, that's a very good thing as well. Now, another reason is you can see this ADATS is spotted, so, if you are looking at that, there has to be recon somewhat nearby, because this ADATS is in the woods, and it's not the most stealthy of all units, of course, but still, recon has to be pretty close to see that. So, a +3 now for clear, and this ATGM is firing over. It's a lot of diggers. Yeah, I mean, it's not the cheapest screen, and it's not really actually doing anything, which is a little bit goofy, but yeah, I mean, not a lot of micro. It seems like this guy's only really microing his AS90s. Nothing else is really going on, which is a little strange, I'd say. Yeah, here we have double Stormer buy. I think it's the first buy since we mentioned it last time as well, so this guy has a habit of saving up points and then spending them, and you gotta... I mean, I said it earlier, so it's no longer really a surprise, but we'll see more of it later on, and we'll see proof of this later on, but this is why I made that video a while ago, and this is why I make videos whenever somebody sends me something with a map hacker. Keep in mind as well, this sort of snipe is very different from what we've been seeing from blue this entire game. Blue has been firing in on unknown positions with near perfect accuracy. Lots of his shots have been getting in and getting kills. This one is actually an example of where it might have been responsive, except that he's not actually going for the Droog team there. There was recon over there that he killed first, and that hadn't been firing, but something like this, it was spotted. So red, in order to get that single snipe, had to get recon infantry all the way over here, tried to shoot in at it, missed, and then watched it drive away. And that's very different. I think it was, well, no. Yeah, so let's take a look. So this is going to be, yeah, double M84A. Now there is double Challenger 1 Mark III here. Again, creative angles can make this a nice engagement for the M84As, but this is, whenever you're punching up like that, you do have to be very careful not to get in too much trouble too quickly. And let's see. Okay, that's the smoke. I want to see where the other AS90 is going to be shooting in, so I think they're both... No, he's out of ammunition. Okay, that explains it. BVP is a little unfortunate. I think honestly Clear's doing the right thing, just locking down, getting command vehicles places. It's never a bad idea, especially in a bit of an odd game like this, where, usually... Oh man, that was rough. Yeah, see, this is the thing. One slip up on the smoke, and the decision to move away from it instead of in, there's a dead M84A. It's a rough thing to have happen. Okay, let's speed up a little bit. This is getting to be a little bit of a, just a mosh pit, and I have a point to prove later on why I chose to do this one, so, yeah. Now again, this fire was in against a spotted ADATS, so it's guided fire, and of course the ADATS is gone, but red has no way of knowing that. Nice pickup against the ATGM plane there with the Tornado F3, and yeah, I mean, that happens. These guys are nice for prevention. Actually, I recently having a bit of a debate. Jeez, easy for me to talk today. I was recently having a bit of a debate between the F3 and the F2 with a fellow by the name of Bikefish, very solid player, instructor on boot camp, and he favors the F2 for its price. I favor the F3 for the range because I view it as a bomber denial tool, and the 8400 makes it a little bit easier to get that first shot off, but different strokes for different folks, I believe, is the expression. Now, one of the Challenger 1 Mark IIIs has been killed. We do finally see a cap on the hotel, and with 25 minutes left, a 245-point lead, especially ticking +1, is very nice. And then we have just complete lack of micro here for the Challenger until after that ATGM comes through. No real smoke on here anymore. I wonder... Yeah, the mortar still has stuff in it. Yeah, that's fair. So let's just keep going, and we'll see whole bunch of nonsense here in just a second. Actually, here's more AS90 shots. Let's see. Ooh, Boom, directly on Proletary, and very nearly directly on a Drug team. There, of course, neither one of these was spotted during that tank fight, so yeah, I mean, dispersion's going to get you a little bit with the Drug team, but yeah, you can't do that super accurately every time, and I guess the Drug team did fire, but the Proletariat right there at that junction, yeah, never spotted. Okay, let's take a look. Let's go back up to 2. And that without that CV snipe, I bet these AS-90s would have been even more obnoxious to deal with. And we have again the quad stack of Diggers 90 moving up. Probably just to die, I would imagine. Ooh, here it is. Harrier GR7. What do you guys want to bet that it's going for? So bombs away, all 4 of them, and bam. CV kill. Okay, so most people will put CVs in either these buildings, or that is a little bit cliche, so people will go up here sometimes. Of course, usually it's back in that section. This little corner bend is a tiny bit, well, I wouldn't go so far as to say it's unusual, actually. It's close enough to usual, but those GR7 bombs aren't very good for dispersion, so that's a pretty accurate hit. And then this one, where do you guys want to guess that this F-111C is going? Ooh, that was curving right in. It looks like this was sort of its bomb drop target. And yeah, that's a VKB M60PK command truck. Okay, so that's 2 planes, one of them with an accurate hit, the second one trying to get bombs away and denied by an L-17K. Let's see if there's any follow-up, because, you know, you can get lucky. You can get lucky with something like that. You can send in a bomber and just say, well, you know, we're going to try. And sometimes it does work out. People do this in Charlie as well, where they go, well, sometimes here, sometimes there, sometimes there, sometimes in the buildings. And, you know, 1 time in 5, maybe you get the kill. AS-90, by the way, all the way to the front. Ooh, stunned Harrier GR7. Let's see if it unstuns itself. And, again, these are the small radius bombs, so this guy has to be very accurate in order to hit. If he has the time, which he doesn't. Okay, let's see what blue does next. This should be interesting. Another GR7 lost to the L-17K. By the way, this is not a true ASF, so getting 2 kills on things like that, it's just that much of a defensive use. They can fire both missiles because the range is just that short. So, okay. Echo is safe for right now. There's a command tank going back up to replace the one in Foxtrot. Let's see here. What happens next? Because, one would imagine, so once you get that initial snipe, most people will move. So if people snipe it like here, then their next command vehicle will go somewhere else entirely, maybe along that stretch. We don't know where it is. Blue never saw it actually re-enter. My money would actually be on in the towns as a replacement, because if you've killed a CV vehicle, I'm probably going to go with infantry. It's just my sort of prerogative there, and this of course was a command tank, so that is different. Instead we see a GR1. Now this is a cluster plane, again with not very much dispersion, only 4 cluster bombs, 8 AP. Not the world's best cluster plane, but we'll get the job done for the price. And how much you guys want to bet this is another CV kill? Yep. Boom. 1, 2, 3, 4, all directly on target against an M84 AK, and howitzer shots directly on top of the command vehicle in Echo. 1-2 punch right there, 1 command vehicle remaining for red, and no recon ever on this side of the board. The Corporal Soda Can 2027, in case it wasn't clear earlier on, and in case me saying it earlier on was not enough, is a map hacker. This is a person who's decided that rather than learn to play the game, he wants to just win at the click of a button, because playing the game and learning to play the game is apparently too hard. Now, I have routinely roasted map hackers when people send me the videos, and this one will be no different, with one exception. I don't know, maybe I'm not very good at roasts because they do require a certain amount of just utter savagery, which is not my usual thing, but this is just bullshit. Come on. I mean, why play the game? You're not actually playing the game is the thing. So if we take a look earlier, there was no recon going forward. This guy's relying on map hacking to even engage. And the thing is, he doesn't probably realize that he's shooting himself in the foot, because from his own perspective, he's looking at the neutral perspective. He can see all of this, but his units can't. And so he probably had those Challenger 1 Mark IIIs going forward, thinking to himself, oh, okay, there's M84As, there's Pruskamnichi, there's Proletary. I'm going to send this guy up here and shoot at these guys and kill them. And he can't, because his units still can't see shit without recon. You can't use this stuff without recon. It doesn't work. And he doesn't know that because he has perfect information all the time, so why shouldn't his units? Right? What's the point? What's the point in buying Recon if you're playing the game like this? And more importantly, if you did actually learn how to play the game, like, goodness gracious, I recently got to Brigadier General on 2 different accounts. If I had map packs on, it would be just stupid, because, and it would be this case for anyone Brigadier General, anyone Colonel, anyone Lieutenant Colonel, if you actually learn how to play the game and you're using these sorts of cheats, there's nobody who can stand against you. And you'd be an utter piece of crap for doing it. And we are all, I would say that we should all count ourselves lucky that the quality of map hackers is so low that they don't even take the time to learn the game that they're attempting to cheat. They just want the win that badly that they look to cheat in a, 9-year-old game that has a really low player base, especially a lower player base even that plays ranked. Because this is a ranked game. And this guy has decided that he's going to use his time to install a cheat and to play a ranked game on a leaderboard that the only people who care about it are the, I don't know, probably 1,000 or so people who still actively play ranked, and that might even be overgenerous. So, I really don't understand it. I love this game as a hobby. It's one of my favorite things to do, even though, I mean, Wargame giveth and Wargame taketh away. We all know this. But, come on, man. Like, what sort of day do you have to decide, today I'm going to cheat at a game that very few people even pay attention to? Like, if you're going to do this with some AAA game that's hot in the leaderboards and all this and is getting millions of people watching or has tournaments with prizes. By the way, I'm hosting a tournament with prizes and the announcement for that's going to go up tomorrow. That's one thing. This is just pathetic, man. Like, I don't get it. I really don't. And the other thing too is it creates a bad experience for everyone who's playing against it, because Clear has played a very nice game. Yeah, maybe a couple of mistakes. We saw that mistake with the M84A, but honestly, it's really hard to play a perfect game against somebody who keeps denying things with the AS-90s, where, I mean, Recon Infantry died, ATGM Infantry died that were never spotted, because those bits of positioning are what help you have this clean game, and Clear was doing all of it very, very well. And it was just dying because, even though it was never spotted, well, doesn't matter, irrelevant, right? So then we have another CV snipe attempt on Charlie, and this was going in, the VKB, I believe, was moved between these salvos, and we already do have something else there, and at this point Clear is just buying CVs. There's an M84 AK here, there's another VKB here. He just wants to end the game, and I completely understand that, because, well, quite frankly, this game has been over for a little while, and the only thing keeping Blue in, I mean, look at this position, this is crap, this is nothing, you can't win the game with this, and the only chance that Blue has is to kill all of the remaining CVs from Red. That's all this is. And that's really disappointing. And I don't know, I guess I'm disappointed by it. I would want a better class of criminal than whatever the hell this person is attempting to be, because even then, even with perfect information, no response to the Motostrelchi moving up and trying to kill the Oslov and the Stormer. There's nothing over here, really. Like, again, if you actually can see all of this stuff going on, you could create the perfect defense. Why not? You can see exactly what your opponent's going to do before they do it. You can see all this stuff moving in. You know these M84As have rotated for a very long time. So, why do nothing? I mean, just get your shit together, come on. Or more importantly, and actually my genuine recommendation is just stop it. Because the number of frustrating games people have that are fair is very high. And the last thing that we should do is add stress to that by people just refusing to actually play the game. And yeah, so I think I've beaten a dead horse by now. I hope you guys had a little bit of suspense with it early on, me going, yeah, I just want to show you this strange game, look at this, there's, Challenger 1 Mark III's up here, there's no real recon, let's see how this goes. I talk about positioning a little bit, and yeah, the whole time it was a map hacker, and the attempt from this guy to play the game in the first 15 minutes or so, even then not really, because there were already snipes that he shouldn't have had. So he's attempting to play the game and just giving himself a little bit of a handicap just in case he feels like he needed it. We're already so bad that should have lost him the game in 10 minutes, and would have, if not for cheats. So at this point we have a +4 for Red, which is definitely, I mean, goodness gracious, with this board position, that's exactly what it should be. A kill on the, well, not actually a kill, but forcing the CV out. Of course, Noi knew to back up because, perfect vision and everything like that. And again, backing out before the HT40s come in. Maybe you could guess this one because of the most Shelchi coming forward, and I guess there was something that came up top here as well, but I don't know, man. Okay, so let's get through, and I want to see the kill list for those AS-90s, for the artillery, for these guys. Again, another near CV snipe there in Foxtrot in the last couple of seconds, and of course the KD is very red favorite here. So let's take a look in, and okay, 2 Droog teams never spotted, actually 4 Droog teams never spotted. One of them was firing, yeah. Proskums Nietzsche, which were never spotted. Really, I would have expected better. Again, if you have perfect vision and you can fire these things willy-nilly at fragile weapons teams and everything like that, this is the best that these guys can do. Yeah, I'm disappointed. I think that's fair to say. Yeah, then we have the CV snipes. So we have the M110E2RA with the CV kill, GR7 with the CV kill, Tornado, GR1 with the CV kill, no recon ever on that side of the map, no units ever on that side of the map because this guy's push was not able to hold his own side of the board, so why would it ever be able to get onto the other side? And that's all I've got for you guys today. I promise we'll have a cheery game tomorrow, and we will have that tournament announcement tomorrow. I've gotten some very generous donations for prize pools, so there will be prizes, and the full details will come out. I've recently finished the rules set, and signups will be happening on my Discord, which will be linked in the announcement video in the description of it as well, and I hope to see you guys all there. I'm really hoping we can get something good going over the holiday. Signups will be for, I'm thinking signups will be probably for about a month, and then we'll get the first games going. So the time frame on this is going to be decently long, and I will I'll do reminder announcements throughout that month, every couple of videos, just to say, hey, signups are still ongoing, and I hope to see you guys all there. So there's going to be a bit of a twist. It's a 2v2 tourney with a bit of a twist, and I think it should give everyone a fighting chance. So if you see really skilled players going in, if you see really new players going in, don't be too discouraged. We're gonna have a way of evening the playing field as much as is possible. So thank you guys for hanging around, and we'll see you again real soon.